Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. So please, I would also love for us to hear from Mr. Lawa. Please, if you are online, please can you tell us something about yourself?
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Oluwaseun Lawal. I am a marketing professional. I help customers to derive value in brands and products. I've worked across the tech and the creative industry. I'm a member of Global Shippers Lagos Hub, and what the Global Shippers community do is it's empower young people to drive action and change to address local challenges. And also part of the things we're doing is we have a pillar called the civic engagement pillar, which I also belong to. And what we're trying to do with the civic engagement pillar is for us to be able to educate people, basically give them that civic literacy, be able to engage with elected representative, and also to empower, people to be able to, basically advocacy, regarding CVR and even within this election cycle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Lawa. Please, we move to Mr. David. Please, if you are also online, can you tell us something about yourself? Mr. David. Okay, I think maybe Mr. David, please are you with us? I think maybe we have some technical challenges, so we have to move to Mr. Jones. Please, Mr. Jones, what do you have for us?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here with the international community. So I am Jones Amegashibiglo. I'm the president of the Senate of Youth Impact Parliament, and then as well the executive director of Youth Impact Movement, which is the mother body of Youth Impact Parliament. Youth Impact Parliament is a capacity building, youth-led voluntary organization that is into mimicking the national parliament of each chapter or country that we exist in. Currently, we are in Ghana, we are in Namibia, we are in Uganda, we are in India, we are in Kenya and South Africa. And in each of the countries that we are in, we have a youth parliament mimicking the national legislature. But in Ghana, we have a bicameral legislature, of which the parliament is the lower house and the Senate is the upper house. I lead the Senate as president of the Senate, which is a legislative role, not an executive role. And then we have the Speaker of Parliament. And we are 5 years and we have been able to impact over 1,000 youths worldwide. Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. So today's discussion is basically based on political engagement. So we'll be asking some questions based on political engagement. So I will first take it from our first two speakers, which is Mr. Andrew and Mr. Jones. I'll ask them some questions, then they will tell us how it goes in their side or wherever they are. So to Mr. Jones, please, we would love to know that what does the meaningful of youth political engagement really look like today at your side?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. If I get your question, you are talking about the relevance of youth engagement in the political discourse. Am I right?
Yes, please, at your side.
Yes, thank you very much. Youth discourse is a very important factor that the political class cannot ignore. And as you know very well in Ghana, the youth form a large size of the population, from the ones growing up to the graduates and then to the working class. All of them are within the category of youth. And within the political season, you realize that just a couple of them are in leadership roles. However, within the grassroots, it is the youth that make the voice. They are the ones who are the kingmakers, if you ask, in the sense that you need their collaboration in order to get to wherever you want. So the fact is that the youth cannot be ignored. But the issue is that after they get there, it's about whether they'll pick your call or not. Or if you come to their office, they would attend to your agent's needs. However, the issue that comes up with this particular discourse is that if the youth support a particular person in getting to a high office, they feel entitled to the person's resources and, of course, opportunities, which becomes a matter of argument, if you may say, because they're like, come on, I supported you. I went to the grassroots, insulted your competitors, and now you are there. You don't want to attend to me. Come on, I own you. But at the end of the day, it's the ballot box that will still decide. So it's not really that I wouldn't say it's a distorted phenomenon, but it can still be shaped better to make meaningful waves. For instance, making reference to Senegal, the people leading Senegal right now are youths. Making reference to their current president, who is just 45 years, and then his mentor, Ousmane Sonko, who was just recently fired as prime minister, however, has been able to reshape the gears and has just been elected as president of the National Assembly, which tells you that if the youths are in charge, of course, they could play games, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure they'll forget their roots. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. So, Mr. Andrew, please, what's your view on also the same question as in the meaningful youth political engagement at your side?
Okay, I'm going to answer the question how I understand it. I think for us in Nigeria, youths make up majority of the population. Nigeria has a very, very young population, and it's um, the trend is only going to increase over the course of the next 5, 10 years. Well, the population of Nigeria is only going to get younger. So when you look at the demography, the majority of the demography are youth, it only makes sense that they are ably represented in government. And also the fact that youth are the demography that would suffer the consequences or enjoy the implications of good or bad governance. So it does make sense that we should have voice. But that said, reality differs. I don't see there's been a very, very slow um, increase, for a lack of a better word, in youth participation in governance and politics, right? We have a couple of younger people, but for majority of our political participants are way older, and that's something that needs to change. I'm rooting for it to change, but the negative factors are very, very, very potent, right? Politics in Nigeria is expensive to start with, and there are not a lot of young people that can afford to play politics the way the older would. But some of the barriers are being reduced. I can see that there are some young people coming up. I think in the last election we did even get somebody we had a governor elected that was under 40, so that was like a good indicator. But there's so much more that can be done. It doesn't even have to be the executive arm, even in the legislative arm. We need to see a lot more young people. Our representatives need to reflect the demography, at least to an extent. So yes, that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. So, I will also love to ask Mr. Albert. Please, are you with us, Mr. Albert? Mr. Albert, please, I would also love to ask, why is it important for young people to actively participate in
Yeah, I'm
governance
here.
leadership?
I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
okay. So I wanted to know your
Hello.
opinion on why it's important for young people to actively participate in governance and leadership conversations. Please, did you get me right?
So I would clearly thank you once again. I think all of us on this call or on this webinar right now, are within. Yes, I got what you said. I don't know if you could hear me. You could let me know
Yes,
if you could hear me clearly.
yes, please, I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you now.
Hello. Kindly let me know if you can hear me.
Yes,
Yeah.
please, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. So just like the question already structured in itself, I'm saying that even the even the even the group that is here, the current group that is here, is fully made up of youth. And what that should tell us is that we are so much concerned as to what the future holds. And when Mr. Jones gave his submission, he clearly made it known that what the population as we have in Ghana and that of Mr. Andrew clearly in Nigeria shows that what the youth are the most dominant in all those spaces, meaning that in their absence of not being part of this political space, literally mean that when decisions are made and policies are passed, all these civic engagements in the absence of the youth are just going to affect us in the latter run. So clearly, it's just it's just giving us the forethinking that the youth being involved in political engagement or civic engagement is not just a mere thing that should just be overlooked or just say that, oh well, there are people already playing their roles, or there are people that some feel entitled to, from even Mr. Jones' submission as to regards to one having some being feeling entitled or feeling that, oh, they made you, or practically they provided the resources and you feel entitled to them. So in this current generation, I would say that, well, the youth as we are so much involved in political engagement, and it does not just end in the policies that are passed, but then the implementation of them. And then
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Albert. So,
you're
hello.
welcome. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your input. So, I would love to go to Mr. Hassan. Please, what can you also say about it? That's the importance of the young people participating in governance and leadership conversation.
Thank you for the question. I'll repeat the question. The question is basically, what's the importance of the youth in governance?
Yes, please.
I'll start by stating a fact that half of the world's population is under 30. But on the contrary, if you see only 2.7% of parliamentarians present globally are under 30. So that is a stark reality of what we are living. We can see that despite being present as half of the youngest present in the whole world, we have a very small representation actually in the office, and which should be an eye opener for all of us. And The other thing I would like to add to that, from a Pakistani context, we can see that uh, 3 out of every 4 Pakistani is not does not feel comfortable in the leaders who are leading them. They cannot actually relate to them. So to tackle this problem, we need to enable young people consider and to move forward. Obviously, there are challenges there, which is the point of this whole webinar, to discuss that and to take that back into our societies. But today in this webinar, I wanted to place some of important facts in front of you, and I hope I made that present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. So, Mr. David, please, I would love to know that what do you think about today's youth? If they are more politically aware than the old generation, as in the 20th generation, looking at this 21st generation people we have, what do you think about the youth? Are they more into political activities than the old ones?
Hello, can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Sorry, are you able to rephrase the question? I think I lost you somewhere along the way.
So the question was, what do you think about today's youth? If they are more politically aware as compared to the previous generation?
All right. So the question is if our current youths are politically aware as compared to the generation before us.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. I think I hadn't introduced myself. Is it okay if I can do that, or I can just go into the thing?
Or you can introduce yourself.
Okay. So my name is David Mavera. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I'm currently the vice curator of Mutari Hub. I studied international relations at African University. I'm an international volunteer. I've been part of Lions Club International, and currently I'm also working with Global Shapers. So yeah, I think that is mostly all about me. And to answer the question, I feel like the youths we have nowadays are not directly, like, I will use a Zimbabwean perspective. From where I see the things in Zimbabwe and from a blunt perspective, I feel our young people nowadays are not directly engaged in politics. This is why, because, okay, fine, let me start with how they are engaged in politics, right? You find in Zimbabwe that young people are highly active in civic discussions, social media advocacy, and communication initiatives, but they often face challenges like limited job opportunities, political exclusion, and tokenism. So you'll find, in as much as the youth, we could be pushing for more. There is that thing where it's very clear that you can see that even as a youth, what you can have those discussions, you discuss issues, you talk, but then there is tokenism, in a sense where what we discuss as the youth, yes, we are there on the ground, we discuss things, we talk about our future, because okay, people say that the young people are tomorrow's future, but we are there in the conversations, and you later on find that what has been discussed on the ground for the media to show has not been what is being done on the ground. So now we have a generation where we are just vocal on social media. Unlike if we are to look back, let's just look at our fathers. Those people were willing to go through revolutions. They knew that for us to change things, we have to go on the streets to do peaceful demonstrations. We also have to sort of push. But now the generation we are in, the Gen Z generation, is more concerned on other things, and there's this naive behavior where we feel like decisions that are made without us won't affect us, but we are the ones who are going to be affected. So my point of view to this is that as young people nowadays, yes, we have a certain breed that's there, that's willing to go the extra mile, but most of them, we are just social media political. We are no longer, a lot of young people don't have the courage to engage high offices in governments. They don't have the courage to ask questions that are directly sort of confronting them, like no jobs, there are no jobs opportunities, and all those other things. So I don't know if I made myself clear, but this was from a Zimbabwean perspective. Maybe in your countries it's quite different, but here I feel our youth could be engaged more in politics, but they are a bit reluctant because they know the results. We are going to be there, but nothing is going to change. It's just for the media. Yeah, I don't know if what I am saying is quite clear, but it's a Zimbabwean experience that I have seen.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you very much for that impactful talk. I would love to also find ask Mr. Lawa, what's your view on that too?
Okay, thank you very much. So I would say, are the youth more aware? To an extent, and I would explain why I say to an extent. Are they if are they more effectively engaged? Not at all. So why do I think they're more aware to an extent? So because we are in the information age. So the information access young people have today is unprecedented. So in Nigeria, you can live tweet, what is happening, politically in the country. You can also do an analysis of, say breakdown of the budgets, the country's budget or even the state budget. There's also a platform called Budgets that they do this breakdown, and so you have access to this information. You can also have conversation with someone in Accra, Nairobi, or London, about electoral manipulation or whatever is happening, at the other end. But it was different in my parents' generation. They had more, or they got their political education from newspapers, radio, or whatever community elders have told them. So information wasn't really sharp then, but now we have access to everything. But still, one of the things I observed while I was working with AI in Nigeria, that was some years ago, was that there is a knowledge gap, amongst the younger audience. So there has to be some sort of policy understanding. There has to be some sort of civic literacy. Sometimes I engage young people and I hear them say certain things which I find very interesting. So you would hear a young person tell you that his vote does not count, and I find it very interesting. Your vote only does not count when you don't go out to vote, when you don't go out to cast your vote. If you get your PVC and you vote, surely your vote counts, because again, there is the part where you register, you select the vote, and you also protect your vote. So also there is a place where people just come on social media to talk, and I think why we have a lot of young people come and talk on social media is because we have left that age where policies don't affect us directly. So we are coming from a phase where we were under our parents. So our parents were like the shock absorber. They were the one taking in the hardship, and we're just chilling. But now we've gotten to that adulthood phase where you are paying for bills, you are paying for rent. Fuel is it's crazily high. So you are taking pocket out of your you are taking money rather out of your pocket to do things, and you are feeling the hardship. And the next thing you would want to do is to come online to talk, but it doesn't end there. It doesn't end at you having to talk. It's also continues, for you to actively engage wherever you voted in. So for instance, where I live currently, my local government, I have my local government chairman's number. So I think it's called municipal in Ghana. I have my local government chairman. So if there are challenges to be addressed within that community or within that locality, I can send a text message to my local government chairman, or I can even, ring him on the phone. Because again, I have elected you there, and you would hear people say, office of the citizen is the highest office in the land. And that is because real democracy belongs to the people. So the people have elected you there, and you should be accountable to the people. And it's the same way when you work your daily 9 to 5, where there are key performance indicators, you know, to tell you when you're performing well or if you're not performing well. And same appears works with also when you elect political leaders. Now, look at what happened in 2023. We had arguably the most mobilized youth electorate in Nigeria we had ever seen around a single candidate. So we had young people registered in numbers, you know, which also surprised the political establishment. I don't want to mention names, but the movement was genuinely organic, you know, in a way Nigerian political movements rarely are. And young Nigerians, we saw young Nigerians campaigned. And again, because we are young people and we have access to a lot of things, we have people that are techie, we have people that, you know, a lot of skill sets that can be transferable into all of this. And I saw people in real time do this for these candidates. People were designing posters, people were, you know, doing a lot of tech things, you know, to ensure that they were able to, you know, get things done. So they organized and then they show up. But when the result came out, the tribunal processes played out, and a significant portion of that mobilized generation walked away feeling that the system had, you know, simply absorbed their energy and nothing has changed. And well, that is where trust deficit comes. But if you look at my parents' generation, they were less aware, yeah, but they operated in a political. Also, they also operated in a political culture where, you know, the pathways were flawed, but it felt more legible in the sense that they belonged to a political party. So they were not just, in fact, they didn't even have spaces for them to come and complain. They joined the political party, they built relationships, they also moved up. You know, even though, yes, the teams were corrupt, it was least consistent, you know, but in terms of information access, we had that. But one thing that remains is that the older generation are very, you know, very effectively engaged. So and it has happened along the way where you would see people that belong to parties, because I belong to a political party, I attend ward meetings. You would see people that belong to parties, even when their candidate lose, it still doesn't deter them from participating or from, you know, from being engaged. They still attend ward meetings, you know, they still, you know, put things together to ensure that things move on, regardless of if their candidate has lost. And I think the Nigerian youth, or youth in general, we need that resilience to be able to push regardless, because again, we have seen what, you know, inefficiencies of our leaders have put us to. We now see people emigrate, what we call jackpot. People are leaving the country, you know. And and also what gives me genuine optimism is, you know, what happened in, I think, 2020 with the NSAS movement, how young people came together to demand accountability, and it was all around police brutality, and we could see all of the things that happened, you know, at that region. And again, one thing I'll quickly is that youth involvement doesn't just stop at you going to vote or select a leader. Kudos to people like Andrew that are building Civic products that could help young people to also, you know, get more aware, you know, about the civic space, and also get educated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the input. So looking at this, I think that there's a very vast difference between the youth in the Zimbabwe and also at the Nigeria aspect too. So if you just join us, I would love to let you know that today's discussion is not just about politics, it's about responsibility, leadership, accountability, and the role young people play in shaping the future and communities of the nation. And around the world, we all know that young people are seeking out, organizing, and also demanding changes. So these dialogues give us the opportunity to exchange ideas and also learn from one another, and also to explore practical ways to strengthen the youth participation in governance. So to move on to the next discussion, I would love to, which is the second round of the discussion, I would love to ask Mr. Andrew that what are your views on the biggest barriers preventing young people from participating actively in governance and politics?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I'm going to say something that might be is a hot take, right? It might be contentious, but as funny as it sounds, and maybe contradictory to the speaker who came before me, speaker that was speaking earlier. I
Oh,
think the
okay.
biggest barrier is I think the
Okay.
biggest barrier is actually ignorance. There is a lot of information available, but that information has not translated, has not been transmitted to the arms of the youth, right? A lot
Yeah.
of the youths, and in fact, like entire the structure, a lot of the youths do not completely understand what democracy is and their role in democratic institutions, right? So their role in democracy, in essence, they don't understand what the type of governance we run or like the office of the citizen. There, obviously, there are other factors. We can talk about the money. That's why we don't have more candidates. But in terms of like just basic participation, in terms of voting itself, we have not seen that uptick. We have not. There's still like low there's still a lot of let me use there's still a lot of voter apathy amongst the youth. And like I used to say, that's like literally the lowest rung of the ladder. And the excuse the most youth give is government is not working, then why should we participate? Which is it makes sense on surface level, but if you actually dig deep, you would see that the fact that government is not working is the more reason we should participate. If everything was going fine, you could be excused for like removing your eye from there. But things are going terribly, right? Your government is stealing your future from you. They are basically putting your life at risk, right? They're stealing you and your children's future. That's like more reason why you should participate. So that ignorance, there needs to be some sort of reframing. We need more youths. It's not a factor of there are people, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of youths doing amazing in the space. We have a lot of young people like myself running organizations, but we need to translate it from just a few to the many, right? We need to do more community organizing. We need to galvanize more youth. And I think another part of the reframing work that we need to do is understand, and I think that's one of the largest gap. When the other speaker was talking, I think one of the major differences between the older generations was that during that time when they were younger, they understood that it was a marathon, it was a long game, right? And I'm speaking specifically for Nigeria. I don't know what the case is in other countries. They understood that it was more of a long game. I think we in my current generation, and it's maybe generally we want results quickly, right? We want results now, and we do this 4 year sprint to the presidential election. And when things don't go our way, you're like, then try again, sprint, now try again. It does not work that way. What we need, that reframing, we need to pass across that message that it's literally a marathon, right? Change is not going to happen overnight. It's something that we
Okay.
need to organize and plan for over a period of time. It's not something that you just wake up tomorrow and say, revolution now, and it happens. There's no successful revolution. Rome was not built today. There's no successful revolution that happens overnight. A lot of planning, a lot of structure has to go in place. So we need to go back to the drawing table and actually properly organize, get more people, get more youths to rally over the cause, and then plan for the long haul. It's not a tomorrow thing. We're having the presidential elections in Nigeria in 2027. It's not even a 2027 affair. We need to think way more long term. We need to think 7, 10 years from now. And like, it's not even another thing is not, it's not the done and once and done thing, right? It's like there's so much work. Like work does not we not ever end, right? Even in 10 years now, if we're able to get Nigeria in the right path, there's still work to be done to make sure that we continue to stay in the right path.
Oh, okay.
Of the citizen is not it does not end, right? As long as you're a citizen, you still need to wake up and fulfill your role. There's a lot of messaging. It's not just voting. We need to community organize. We need to hold our leaders accountable. We need to advocate. Like there's so much work, and that's the message that we should be passing across. And that's what my organization is just trying to do. Just
Oh,
really
okay.
tap ignorance and get reframe people's mind as to what the scope of what the
Oh,
scope of work we're we are tackling and how best we can address it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. Which means that there's still more room for improvement for the youth. So I would also love to ask Mr. Albert, please, if you are with us, that do leadership system genuinely create room for youth participation? If you can get me right. Under 2 minutes, can you give me your view that the leadership system genuinely creates room for youth participation?
All right. So practically from yes, I had you right. Thank you. So practically from our spaces, I would say that we see quite a number of them around. We have two political parties, majorly in Ghana, which I would refer to as the NDC and then that of the MPP. And these two political parties have a framework, or they have their system governing them as to how they recruit youth into the various spaces for them to maintain that relation with the people, um, and other stuffs like that. Why would I say or agree to the fact that leadership system genuinely creates room for youth participation? I'd say it's a big yes, because one, for youth impact parliament, for an example, they practice, one, not just the awareness of the legislature, two, not just having been practiced or having been aware of what exactly goes on there, but then it gives you that form of or that ability to equally play out a role, communicate, and all those things like that. So I'd say in actual context, the youth are often invited into conversations as which we are, for an example, we're having right now. But in the actual influence and the implementation part is where I'd say there is still a gap. Why? Because there are policies that are passed, there are initiatives that are sometimes taken, and you wonder if actually the youth are being considered. If you wonder if actually the demography of youth in terms of work, in terms of whichever policy that has been laid down actually concerns. So sometimes we wonder if the participation alone is enough. That is where the question comes from. But then for the structural part, I think there is still more to do. Just like Mr. Andrew clearly laid emphasis earlier, that yes, we have the youth participating in some of these things, but then the actual truth is that influential part really taking effect? Are the youth making that much impact that is expected? Because for an example, I would say that when it comes to the youth making or giving decision making roles, for an example, clearly being a lead for a particular group, being a lead for a particular space, it gives them that ability to enroll the god-given talents that they have, the skills that they've built up from. And I think over the period, what will happen is that we'll have these youth enrolling out to fill in those gaps. But then the bigger question becomes, when they get there, do they fulfill that demand? Do they execute that demand that has actually been created for them to fulfill? So at some point, I would say that, well, it is not only for the structural participation that often goes on, but then the discipline to actually do what is expected of us. Because most of the times, when the youth are given the room to actually participate and fulfill a specific obligation or demand in a particular space, what we often see is that they tend to tie themselves to the resources, tend to tie themselves to the influence that others have actually given them,
Oh,
which
okay.
in Ghana precisely, we know NDC and MPP plays a role in that big space. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Mr. Albert, rather. Sorry for the inconvenience. So, Mr. Jones, please, if you are with us, we'd love to know that how can technology and digital innovation improve youth participation and accountability?
Um, I think I would like to get clarification from the question. Are you talking about
How
how technology
technology?
can become a catalyst between the government and the youth in participating in governance or something like that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
No.
So technology has come to stay and it
Yeah.
advanced quickly. We all recall those days that we're using keypad phones and photographers were doing instant printing, but now we have smartphones with new models coming every year, and then as well, the photographers that we have these days that are the modern one, they come take pictures and then they send you the link to download your pictures. There is always a technological evolution. So if you do not join it, you'll be left behind. Gone were the days, the only time that you get to see governance programs is when a major ceremony is about to happen. For instance, the swearing in of the president, State of the Nation's address, and then other very important highlighted programs. But now technology and social media has made government more accountable to the people by daily updates on their pages, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and all those. Government appointees and elected officials are more accountable to the people, showing progress and activities within their jurisdiction. This has brought confidence onto the people and we, the youth as well, seeing that our people are up to tax. And this, for instance, as well, gives an opportunity for youth who are in leadership roles to equally mimic the trend and be accountable to themselves. For instance, as Prof. Cambet, who is the guy who just spoke right now, the GNU's National Chief Justice, he equally harnessed social media to show forth what he has within him. I as well, I am a social media manager, and whatsoever I do, the major programs, I share updates on it. I've been following governments all around, including the government of Nigeria. I've been following the federal government, all the 36 states and the FCT, even some of the local governments. I've been seeing what they are doing right in Ghana. I'm not in Kenya, but I follow all the 47 county governments and their county assemblies. I'm not in South Africa. But I follow what is happening in the National Assembly of South Africa and the National Council of Provinces, including the provincial parliaments as well. I am not in the United States, but I follow what is happening in the California House of Representatives and the California Senate. I am not in Trinidad and Tobago, but I follow what is going on in their House of Representatives and their Senate. I understand the happenings of governments that are not even accountable to me. When I spoke the first time, I spoke about the happenings within the Senegalese government. I am not in Senegal. So technology has become a catalyst to improve accountability. Due to that, government officials and elected officials are now more accountable to the people. Now, the KPIs to assess their performance are being tracked by the barometer, which is also becoming digital. You can access information on websites to know more. Now, with the introduction of ChatGPT, just to give a spoiler alert, artificial intelligence is not new in the system. It has been there all along. What we call Android is artificial intelligence. The only difference that it is happening, or should I say, the only difference that is happening right now is that it has been made a domestic tool for we to use without necessarily purchasing phones and stuffs. Yes, that is what ChatGPT and the rest are doing now. Artificial intelligence has been there a long time ago. Now with ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatsoever tool that you use, with a click of a button and some details, you can gather information without going to search engines like Google's. You can ask it to even draft speeches for you and even design flyers. And all these are helping with accountability and bridging the gap between the people and their leaders. And technology has come to stay. I keep on telling my students, I'm also a teacher as well at Whole Technical University, that if you don't follow this technological advancements, you'll be left behind. Very soon, the smartphones that we are holding will become holograms that you touch with your fingers. Vehicles will be hovering in the future. And of course, diseases that are not curable can be cured in the future. Life will become paradise because technology is every day, it is evolving. It is evolving. So for this particular technological advancement, it has helped a lot. I'm in Ghana and I can tell you what is happening in most countries. I'm in Ghana here and I know the vice president of the Philippines is going through an impeachment. And just recently, a new president of the Filipino Senate has been sworn in. I'm in Ghana here and I know very well about the happenings in River State with respect to, I know my Nigerian colleague is here. You know very well, the FCT minister, Wike, was having clashes with his mentee, who is Fubara, and then which led to the suspension of the state government for the last 6 months before it was recently allowed to go on again. I'm in Ghana here and I know that the Lagos state governor is ending his second tenure. His deputy is taking over. I know that Right Honorable Femi Bajambiabila, who is the chief of staff to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, wanted to contest for the governor seat in APC party. But however, confidence was given to Hamzat, who is the deputy governor of Lagos State. I'm in Ghana and I know all this. It is just telling you about how technology has become a catalyst for accountability. And it is good for us to harness it as early as possible so that we grow with it. So as I am here in Ghana, the group that I lead, Youth Impact Parliament, all of you can follow and see whatever we are doing from A to Z. And it is all due to technology. So we as youth must harness this opportunity and let it not slide. In fact, this meeting that is happening right now is evidence of technology. My brother is in India, one is in Nigeria, one is in Zimbabwe, I'm in Ghana, and we're all having an online discussion over here. Great. And it is all because of technology. Gone were the days we had to do an international conference call costing millions of cedis or dollars just to have an international conference call. But we are now taking or having this opportunity just buying data. So clearly, technology has come to stay and it has brought accountability and made it very easy for we, the youth, to see what our people are doing and to also be accountable to our peers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones, for that impactful idea and also inputs. So to move on to our third discussion, I would love to ask Mr. Hassan. Please, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Mr. Hassan, please, we would love to know that what qualities should the young people develop to become effective leaders and change makers? What qualities, in your view, what qualities should the young people develop to help them become more effective leaders and also change makers?
All right. That is a very good question. Here we see a lot of young people that are very excited to, achieve a lot of things in their careers. So one of the few qualities that I recommend them is the first need to be competent. You need to have the discipline to build up your skill set, to build your confidence in yourself. If you have the confidence in yourself, you will be able to represent yourself effectively to the society. The first thing is that you need to have competence. The second leadership skill that you should have is to be able to take initiative. So when you have built that confidence, you will find that in you will be able to take initiatives much more easily. You will be able to go out in the street and stand and say that if the street is not clean, I will clean it. And when you stand, people will eventually start following you. And that is the tree of leadership. Similarly, along with competence and being the first one to take initiatives, you also need to be adaptable. Now, as my friends, Mr. Jones, Mr. David, everybody was mentioning about their spaces and different landscapes across the world, we see that there are varying ecosystems in each of our countries. And a good leader needs to be adaptable. We cannot have a very stringent and strict mindset. Like we can see in our leaders of today, they sometimes ought to have a very narrow mindset and are not willing to change. As Mr. Jones just said about how technology is changing the world, and how we need to adapt to it. He said it very beautifully. I would also like to reiterate that uh, a good leader needs to have that flexibility to be open to new ideas and to accept them, and then to be able to digest it and then propagate that further into society. So we have three things: we have competence, we have the willingness to take initiative, we have, it is also called anticipatory leadership. I was reading recently on that, the third one. It's called flexibility and anticipatory leadership. So I think when you have these three things, you are set to become a very good leader. But the fourth most important thing that I would like to tell my friends here is to have a very genuine and authentic heart. Unless you believe in what you're doing, unless you feel what you're doing, you won't be able to bring proper meaningful impact. You won't be able to become a proper change maker. You will uh, it won't be as impactful and as moving. People are moved by feelings. This is a genuine use case of our world. So you need to be authentic. You need to feel it in yourselves. When you're talking to a person, when you're walking, when you're doing the smallest of actions, you need to believe in each and everything, and you need to be as authentic as possible. So that is my message to you, to all of you, that these four qualities is, I think, all young leaders should work on in this stage of their lives, and this could greatly help them become not only good leaders but very good human beings for their families, uh, for their societies, close societies, and eventually global change makers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. So, as you said earlier on, you have to believe in yourself. No matter what you want to start doing, you have to first believe in yourself. When you believe, you are going to make change in the community and also the nation as a whole. So, I would also love to ask Mr. David, please, are you with me?
Yes.
That, so, I want to ask that what can you say? Like, what are the steps that young people can take now, looking at what is going on in your community, looking at what is going on around you? What are the steps that the young people can take now which will help them influence, or which will influence them to make changes in their community? What are the steps you can tell us that when the young people follow, it will help them bring change in their community?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. So I feel young people can start making changes in their communities by moving from awareness to organized, consistent action. Maybe the first step is identifying the real issue around them. Things like unemployment, waste management, school challenges, or access to services. And just not talking about these issues, but understanding the root causes. Like my brother Hassan says, for you to fully engage in something, you have to know it and you have to believe in it for you to achieve it, So in Zimbabwe, for example, I feel many youth have already started small community cleanup campaign, tutorial programs, sport development initiative, and digital advocacy groups. And these things are happening. These are simple and powerful starting points. The second stage is organizing with others now, like what you are doing now. because impact increases when young people work in groups rather than alone. There is no way you can achieve something working alone. So this can be through youth clubs, NGOs, student groups, all those type of things. Then maybe the third step is engaging local leadership structures such as councils, ward development committees, the local non-governmental organizations, to make sure their ideas are heard in decision-making spaces. And then the fourth step, the fourth step is using available platforms strategically, especially social medias. Like, I would want to comment on what Mr. Jones said. We already have these social media platforms. Imagine the amount of things that he knows and where he is. He is not in Zimbabwe. He didn't mention anything about Zimbabwe, but from what he was saying, I am 100% sure that he knows information of things that are happening in my country as well. You see. So the fourth step is using available platforms strategically, especially social media, not only to complain about, to mobilize, educate, to propose solutions. Youths are just complaining. They are not using the platforms to learn, like what we were told here. Then finally, young people must build consistency and responsibility. You need to be responsible because real community change is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. It's like what I'm not sure who said it, but it's like a marathon. You are not going to change to make a change. A revolution doesn't come in one day. Rome was not built in one day. You need to have that consistency and responsibility. Otherwise, I feel these are was that five or four steps youth should take to in order to develop and maybe change their communities. I don't know if that was an answer enough for you, sir.
Wow. It's really, really enough. You've really given us a whole lot, explained a whole lot, and we've understand more. And I hope we are also learning from each other, taking notes, and also knowing what is really going on and how impactful some people are also making in their communities. So, I also love to ask a question that I think within 2 minutes from all the panels, I will want to know that in as much as you were bringing changes to the communities, impacting into the youth life, there are many times that people faces challenges whereby they say that my voice is not being heard, no matter what I'm doing, still there's no change. As there being a saying that how can the goat be innocent when the lawyer is the butcher? So I want to ask, what kept you guys moving? Because in as much as being leaders in various communities, impacting, making changes in the communities, what message would you like to leave for the young ones like us who want to be inspired to also follow, being role models of each and every one of you being on this panel? What message would you like to leave to the young people to also do what is best? So I would love to start with Mr. Lawa. That what message would you like to give to the young people who feel that their voice is not being heard? Like they feel that their voice doesn't matter anymore because they've tried several times to make impacts, to make change, but still it's like nothing is being happened. You get it? Whatever they do, still they don't see anything happen because they feel that no matter what they do, their voice will not be heard. What can you say about that?
Okay, thank you very much. I think one final note or one final takeaway that everyone should know is that your voice matters. But it doesn't just matter. Like it doesn't just stop at you voicing out. It matters the most when it is informed, and that's the part of education. That's the knowledge gap. You having proper understanding, proper context of your locality, also you understanding what governance is like, understanding what are the structure in place. So if there is a damaged road in front of your house, you should know that you are directing the energy to the local government chairman or to the local government, office, and not to the president. Do you understand? So information, you have to be informed first before your voice can matter. Again, um, even when there are state budget and you do analysis of this budget, it comes from a place of I understand how things should be and this is how it should be. Second is it has to be consistent. So consistency is what again push the needles, moves the needle rather. You cannot come and you make claims about certain things and you're not being consistent about it. Also, you have to be part of a coalition larger than yourself. It's as young people, you cannot just be individualistic. You have to be able to be part of something to ensure that you are trying to drive change, and most importantly, it has to be directed to something specific that you can then now recognize. So, say for instance, look at Budget, for instance. So, Budget is a civic tech platform in Nigeria, and for them, what they are concerned about is that financial transparency. So they want people to, because again, you wake up and then you would hear in Nigeria that a snake swallowed 600 million. Sounds very interesting, sounds very funny, but at the surface level, it's something you can easily brush off and say, oh, snake swallowed 600 million. But when budget comes to give you breakdown to the information of the budgeting, what is expected to be. And they did something interesting, which I loved. So budgets will not come and tell you that your political leader has embezzled 600 million. They would rather quantify it based off what the 600 million can do in the society. So they would say something like, your politician or your leader has embezzled say 30 schools or maybe 15 healthcare centers. So that tells you, it just changes that perspective of, oh, this is what 600 million can actually do in your locality or in your society. So, you've been specific about something, and it's also very important that that resilience spirit has to be there. I've been voting since 2015, and I have voted in every election cycle. And just like Andrew said, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. If you want to really demand and drive change, and if you want to also show that your voice matters, you have to be very resilient. You have to stay put, to ensure that you drive that change. And your voice matters. It has always mattered. The work is making sure it lands somewhere it cannot be ignored. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, I would also love to ask Mr. Andrew, please, what can you also say about that? Your final take.
Yeah, final take. I think I'll just reiterate what I've said earlier about, I think even the speaker that spoke last just re-echoed, community organizing is very key. I cannot re-emphasize how important it is. There's this thing we say in Nigeria about how all politics is local. I don't think it's a Nigerian thing, but yeah, we reiterate it a lot in Nigeria. All politics is local. And for everyone that is looking to, like, very youth that's looking to start something, want to save Nigeria, want to rescue Nigeria, want to change, or wherever, it does not have to be Nigeria, sorry. I'm very Nigerian centric. But when you rescue your country, you need to understand that it starts locally. You start organizing from your own local community. I think we need more smaller community structures. I'm going to go again to Nigeria. Nigeria is very big. I don't know what's the size of the other countries, but Nigeria is very big. So we have about 200 million people in Nigeria. If I'm not wrong, about 700k square meters in Nigeria. It's a very, so want to say Nigeria is a very, very big project. I think we'll be able to do more if we look at organizing in our own small communities. As a space I spoke in last week, someone asked me How do we solve election violence? So people that are afraid of voting in the next election, how can they prevent election violence happening in their own polling units? And my response was they should come together as a community and brainstorm it, right? Your local government area come together, the youths in that space, the activists in that come together. You know your local government, you know your community better than myself. There's no tailor-made, there's no ready-made solution, right? That solution has to be tailored-made to your own community. So come together and find a way, right? If it happened last year, there's nothing stopping you from just organizing 20 youths in your community and then brainstorming on what is the best way for you to solve it. So I'm just using like electoral violence as an example. You will see that across board, any local problem literally can just be solved by people just coming together. You should not attempt it alone. It makes sense to organize as a community and also understand, like I've said earlier, that it's a marathon, not a sprint. We need to plan for the
Okay.
long term. We need to lobby, we need to do the work, we need to do our work and like educate ourselves, right? There's a lot of ignorance, but the information is readily available. We have AI on our hands. There's literally very few information that you need that you would, if you do a bit of research, you don't even need to go that deep. If you do just a bit of research, that you won't get. And then the last thing I want to say, which I see in every one of these sessions, is that there is hope, right? I don't subscribe to the pessimistic worldview that some people do. I feel for Africa and generally for the world generally, there is hope. Problems as hard as they might seem are not so complex, right? So it's not hard means there's a lot of work, but the solution is simple. We just have to keep at it. It's not complex, right? The solution is not that difficult. We just have to keep at it. So as hard as might seem, it's not complex and it's not an abandoned cause. But Nigerians say it all the time. As crazy as Nigeria may seem, snakes swallowing money, electoral violence, bandits, whatever, whatever. Nigeria is not a hopeless cause. There's still like hope in the horizon. We just need to make sure that we do the work and we'll see the
Okay.
results.
Okay. Thank you very much for that final take. So I also love to ask Mr. Jones, who is the president of the Youth Impact Parliament, the what was your final take on also a message to the youth that feels that their voice doesn't matter? What can you also say to also help them to let them know that their voice matters in making a change in the community?
Thank you very much. May I thank my international colleagues for joining this call. As a matter of fact, there are 1,000 ways of killing a cat. It depends on the approach you want to adopt. For instance, if you want to be political, then one of the ways to go is to seek for a godfather. He mentors you and he magnifies your voice. If you want to also go the political way, but go through the system, as my colleague earlier said, you start from the local government, you rise to state government, and then you get to national, bit by bit. Another way is also magnifying your voice from initiatives you join, volunteerism, and making impact. But the bottom line of this entire conversation that I'm trying to make is that you need to give value to yourself. You know, for all of us being on this call, there's a value that has been placed on us. We have value. That is how come we have been called to have this conversation. In our own countries, in our own communities and societies, we are making an impact. And that was what got us on this call, because we are identified. So clearly, value creation is something you who wants to be heard have to first do. It is said that if you want to clean someone's house, your home must first be clean. In other words, he who seeks equity must come with clean hands. You do not present any value to the community. You don't have any value as a person, yet still you are seeking for value from community leaders and government officials. The bottom line is that clearly, well, you have a vote, but you are no better than anyone. If you want your voice to be heard, you have to create value for yourself. And that value is also harnessed in other ways. If you have value, people at the top would like to associate with you. And in associating with you, your voice becomes magnified. For instance, in my country, I'm just a local boy in not even the capital city. But from where I am, I have links with members of the National Parliament in Ghana, nothing less than 20 to 30 of them. Ministers of state, I have links with them from the value being created from Youth Impact Parliament. Within my locality, I'm being known for what I do, and I'm being invited to programs because of the value I present. And what is that value? Youth mobilization, community influence. For the fact that we understand how the legislature works, we are being called to refine thoughts and also clarify national issues. It's because we have been able to clearly state what our value is, and we are being appreciated for what we do. So if you want your voice to be heard, you first need to have value. You first need to have value. So those youth who want to be heard first need to create value for themselves, of which the community want to benefit from the value that they present. Empty barrels make the most noise. So if your head is empty, you would only make noise. No one is going to listen to you. That's the best I want to say. Thank you very much. And I call on all of you to join Youth Impact Parliament. Follow us on all social media handles. If you chat my handle as well, Youth Impact John Samagashi will I'll respond to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones, for that impactful speech. Mr. Albert, what can you also give us your final take and message to the youth in just minutes?
All right. So I think all the inputs made clearly cements the floor for which we had today's discussion. Thank you to the host and all of you gathered here. I would say that in just three thoughts, that would be looking out for three things in any youth you engage with. That would be intelligence. And the last one, particularly, would be integrity. So, intelligence and capacity in itself, I would say quite a number of youth do have that. Why am I laying emphasis on that? I'm laying emphasis on that because the youth, as the trend always has it, oh, the youth are the future of the country or whatever, in those terms. I would say that clearly, if the youth, as we are projecting the youth, and the need of being in political engagement and making our voice heard goes at the cost of only intelligence and capacity, then I think in the long run, we would come back to a standstill. Making reference to integrity, because as a matter of fact, as we stand in our current dispensation, one thing stands for sure, and that is one, the people we are experiencing, or the people or the leaders we have in power now, didn't just appear there in one day. They didn't just appear there by just doing something random. And so clearly, Mr. Jones made reference to having something in mind aside empty barrels making the loudest noise, with my other brother making reference to Rome was not built in one day. All these things come at the level of intelligence and capacity. But aside these two lays a fundamental part, which is clearly integrity. Because I can say for a fact that in our various spaces, we tend to experience people or colleagues who are equally in leadership roles who then forfeit this level of integrity, which is then expected of them. So for me, I would say that yes, it is most important that as youth, we put ourselves out there, we build our brand, we do the most that we can by creating that network, that ability to, make our voice heard and then share all that we have within us.
But then, most importantly, let the youth have integrity, because at the end of the day, it lays a big question mark on the capacity and the intelligence we have as to whether we would make an actual change when we get there. So that's all I have to say to the youth. And most importantly, let us not assume that when I'm not serving as a leader of a local group, a local church, a local membership forum, or I don't serve in any capacity. No. Clearly, you are an entire entity. You, the individual, walking, going, coming. You live with a family, you live with friends, you live with loved ones. And whatever you communicate every now and then with them says a whole lot. So we try as much as possible to build our network from the very people that are internal within us, and make sure that not just build up that conversation of, oh, we need to get this done, we need to do that, we need to ensure this. No, you don't just say it, you say it and you take action. Because most of the time, what I've personally, from my experience, or not just to say that being Chief Justice, so it comes with just the constitutional part of holding the law and ensuring the rule of law works and all those things. But in actual fact, when it comes back to us having the floor, because a time will come, let me say in the next 2-3 decades, the very leaders we see now will not be there anymore. They will not be in those various spaces. There will be another group of youth filling those spaces. So if we are not able to build this integrity within and among us now, it will be quite difficult to actually have a free flow of good initiative going forward. So if you're a youth on this page, join this meeting now. Just know that your voice matters, but most importantly, you need to work with integrity and ensure that intelligence and the capacity to execute doesn't forfeit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Albert. So, if you are a youth on this
Welcome.
platform, you have to know that your voice matters. But as Mr. Albert said, and also Mr. Jones also said earlier on, that you have to make value of yourself, because it's how valuable you are that will let people patronize you, or people come to you for advice or also help that they need in their community. So, I also love to ask Mr. Hassan, please, what's your final take? What's your message to the youth that thinks that their voice doesn't matter?
Well, my colleagues have very accurately summarized most of the points, but my message to all of people listening would be that the world that is running runs both on good and bad. So there is some good in the world because of which it's still functioning. So I would say that there will be moments in your life where you will be demotivated, where you won't feel wanting to pursue your initiative. But I would tell you to don't give up at that moment. I would urge you to keep going, because there are more people like you who believe in good. And that is why the world is still functioning as it is today. And as we are all gathered here, we are also an instrument of good. We are all here joining our ideas for a better future and for a better initiative that we can take from each other. So my final message is to have hope. There is good in the world. Don't give up. Be confident, and hopefully we will make a change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. So, with all that we've heard, I would love to also thank all of you for being part of this impactful decision. Let us continue to create the space where youth voice are heard and also valued. So, in as much as we've learned a lot today, I've also learned a lot from the discussion that we also had, whereby you know that you have to make yourself be valued before. Never give up. Always believe in what you want to do. So I would love to hand over to the host Okay, thank you very much. Uh, I hope we all had a great time with the various views from all our speakers. And I would like to thank each and every speaker here. Mr. Andrew, I would like to thank you very much for your time, from your busy schedules and wanting to join us here. I also like to thank Mr. Albert Keglu and also Honorable Jones Amegashi Iglu. Thank you very much for your time. I also thank you, Mr. Hassam Jugnu. Thank you very much for your time. And we have Mr. Luashun Lawal. Thank you very much for your time. I hope I got the name right. And lastly, Mr. David. Mr. David Mav Mavhera. Yeah, I think I got it right. Thank you very much for your time as well. This has been a great session. Yes, a great session. So I'd like to ask our listeners on the call. I'd like to ask if they have any contributions to make, any questions, suggestions they have for our panelists, so that we take their last views and then we can call it a meeting. Anyone that wants to make a suggestion?
Hello.
Okay, Mr. Richard, can we hear you?
All right. Um, I would also want to thank everybody for joining us. I think it's a privilege to have all these marvelous people gathered together to share ideas regarding the political fraternity. One thing I've also observed is that birds of the same feather flock together or fly together. So one thing I would suggest is that now that we have started this, I think it would be a good idea if we can be doing it often. If maybe 2 months later we can come together and remind ourselves of the things that we want to do, or let's say in 4, 5, or 6 months later we come back and remind ourselves, we talk to other people to also join the community, because I think this is a community thing that can help us. Someone doesn't know anything about this kind of ideas that are being shared, but when we come together and someone shares ideas from elsewhere, it makes us learn a lot. So I think it would be nice if we can be organizing such programs often. Perhaps other hubs can organize and we will join. We will also organize, and we are especially asking that they also join. Yeah, so this is a suggestion that I think can help us go forward community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That has been noted down. So we shall have a discussion later on with our speakers and then with my curatorship as well, and see how we can go about it. Mr. David, please, do you have something for us?
Yes. Thank you so much. Once again, I want to thank you all guys for even inviting me to be part of this webinar. But my suggestion would be, I noticed with the lineup here for our webinar, it's quite impressive. I see people doing a lot of things, but I feel if we, I understand for the purposes we wanted, this one is saved it, but I feel if we want a more interactive youth action segment, we might need to balance the speakers, like not only experts. My recommendation would be a mix of maybe yes, people like us, or policy aspects, or even some of the young people who are not well versed in it, so that it can actually be more interactive than just a lesson. Because now it feels like we were delivering a lecture to everyone who's listening. But if some of them are also part and parcel of the webinar lineup, then the views start to show up, and as we help each other, the engagement is a bit, it's a bit more powerful that way. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That has been noted. We shall work on it. Please, any other suggestions or questions for our speakers?
Well, just to inform you, I've recorded the session, so the recording will be shared soon with you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so finally, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. We had a total number of participants to be 23 from beginning, and we are now 16 people on the call. I really appreciate everyone's time for taking a time out of their busy schedules to join this impactful session. So, with all the suggestions shared and views, we shall work on it and then see how we can come up with a quarterly session, or yes, a quarterly session every 4 months or 3 months, depending, and see how we can make this an international event we can be hosting always, to remind ourselves of why there's a need for us to always be involved in political engagements in our communities. Thank you all. So I'd like us to continue to create spaces where youth voices are heard, valued, and empowered in our small ways, in our communities, everywhere we find ourselves. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate. Okay, thank you all. We can. Okay, Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua, do you have a question for us? Mr. Joshua. Okay, if there's no question, we can kindly leave the call now. Thank you all.